Hello my friend, Allah, the Baha'i greeting. God is most glorious. My name is Abbas Tamuri. I am the elder of Baha'u'llah, his envoy on the earth. And my job is to elucidate and explain the Baha'i Faith, the way that the intention of the revealer was. Tonight I will be talking about something that I've spoken before, but sometimes the way we present things, it sounds like new. First of all, let me take a backtrack to my last videos, which I ran out of space on it. And the topic was about this book of the Gate of the Heart, and Mr. Nader Saidi and his writing. In my opinion, we as a people of the planet, in our mistakes, in our deviations, in our angles to the truth, we could be suffering from mistakes or something rather large, which I call it a flaw. If there's a mistakes in what we say, like I make a lot of mistakes when I pronounce words or even give dates wrong and whatnot. It's more like a person who's on the road. He's not lost the road. He's going in the right direction, but he falters, he falls down, he's a little minor accident. He will get up, he'll continue. These are the mistakes. I'm not criticizing the fact that people do make mistakes. We're bound to make mistakes. It's okay. The mistakes are those faults that we can recover. But if there's a fundamental flaw in our approach towards whatever we're doing, then we will never ever get to the bottom of anything. It's like Salvador Dali's painting of a clock hanging on a, rope. Surrealistic. It's not real. Surreal. That's what it is. So, this flaw that people like Nader Saidi and many of the Baha'i scholars they're suffering from is the fact that they do not understand that the Baha'i Faith consists of an administration, a world order with two branches, one of which is Universal House of Justice and the next one is the Universal House of Guardianship. Okay, they don't know this. So okay, 18 years I've been explaining this. Based on the holy writing, based on the books. These are not my making. These are not my inventions. I'm not circumventing things to get around. It's an actual fact. So this is where the problem comes. You see? Baha'i Faith is going in the wrong direction. Same as the entire humanity. Humanity is suffering from such flaws. At 14 centuries, all the people of the earth, most of them, as per the record that we have in our hand, especially in Europe, they believed in a geocentric model of the solar system. They thought Earth is the center and everything revolves around the Earth. Not the heliocentric, but the geocentric. So imagine, you want to learn astronomy, the knowledge about the spatial object in the space, and you have to learn it under the geocentric model of the universe. Where would you go? Where will you end up with this? Nowhere. This system of the Ptolemy that he was thinking that gave them some calendar, certain things, but they could never actually get anywhere for many, many, many years. As soon as around 14th century, when Copernicus, the Polish monk, he found this out, that actually were wrong. So many people say, okay, so big deal, whether Earth is around or revolves or sun revolves, what has got to do with the life of the people? It has. This is the trick of the truth. Truth, it seems raw. It seems irrelevant. But its manifestation and ramifications and implication is infinite. It penetrates every line of your life. As soon as the Europeans, they found out that the monk has been denied, other scientists around, such as Galileo and Kepler and others, came around and found out, oh no, he was right. The whole Europe found out that church is wrong. The infallible Roman Church, which was ruling over the people, was wrong. That changed the entire Europe by just knowing this. How would you know the authority is making mistakes? Therefore, is not authority. Right now, it's the same thing among the Baha'is. They do not understand there has to be universal laws of guardianship. By electing 5 women alongside of the 9 men that are electing as a universal laws of justice, 2 houses, which is basically like Senate and Congress, interact and work together in order to bring the Baha'i Faith onto the track. They don't get it. But the whole planet is like this right now. All of us in the earth, we're suffering from this flaw. Have you ever thought that we, in 21st century, we might be suffering from the same sickness as we were some 600-700 years ago, at the time of Copernicus? That we have a wrong view, fundamentally a wrong view in definition even of existence. Something that scientifically can be proven, is tangible, is visible. Such proof is beyond this that I'm going to talk tonight. All of us on the planet, all of us, the way we look at the object, I brought this hundreds of times, bring it out again. When we look at the object, when we look at a telephone, when we look at this camera that is filming me, this house, our car, anything that we make, we 100% with no doubt, we look at them and say, these are material objects. This is the reality of a car. The car is what those metals are put together and you see it. Have you ever thought we might be wrong actually? That this is not the actual car? This is not the phone? This is not the house? If we understand this, we are going to what I call it a spiritual renaissance. And believe me, it's only one of the teaching of the Baha'u'llah, one of the teaching of the Baha'i Faith. When Abdu'l-Baha was in the United States, in one of his speeches, in one of his talks, and promulgative to the New Religion, New Order, is a book that he has. And then one of the speeches, he says, all this material that you see, this material existence, from the planet to the sun to your object, anything is around you, it has an exact and equal, exact, he says, the word he uses is exact counterpart in the spiritual world. That made me to think, because it's coming from an infallible source. Now, according to him, when you look at this glass, it has an exact counterpart in the spiritual world. According to Abdu'l-Baha, when you die, you will see this glass in a different way. What that is, what is that then? The reality is that this glass is not material. This glass is actually a design made by another human being who calculated it, who designed it, speculated it in his head completely before it manifests itself into this shape. So the reality of this eyeglass is not even material. This is a spiritual, metaphysical, I should say, entity. This is only its manifestation. Then the whole world, what we see is not material. None of it is material. There is no material reality. Materials are like a cup. The reality is the coffee in it. I've brought this before. A cell phone is not what you see. The real cell phone is Steve Jobs. He made it, invented it, he put it on the computer. That is the reality of the phone. What you have in your hand is manifestation of that reality. Then we're not what we are. This is my body. But my reality is not my body. My reality is manifesting himself through this body. I'm not even here. Or here, that means that is not another life somewhere else. It's all in here, really. But I am not this material. Not at all. The whole world is not material. Imagine if you contemplate on this properly, and then we are coming to a new renaissance. We're coming to a new understanding of everything. Then we know the designs are the reality of everything. Bob says matter in its strictest form is the one that is not composed. The moment it becomes two, there must be a thought behind it. Every combinations and composition, which is all the material existence, therefore it does not have a material reality. It's like I'm wearing a clothes. I move. It seems my sleeve moving, as if my shirt is alive. It doesn't. It's like you're in an astronaut suit. What moves is not this astronaut suit. The guy inside it is moving, making this clothes to look alive. Our spirit, our soul is that. That is our reality. It's the actual mechanism that makes things to move. Matter on its own is absolutely useless. It cannot function, no way. It's the design, it's the thought behind it, based on which calculations things are formulated. Then they become useful objects. Then they become relative. This is the teaching of Baha'u'llah. This is where we have to start to understand. Implication of this is big. If the implications of the geocentric center took us from 14th century to what we have today, imagine if we understand this and correct this flaw in our view. Then when you say, I saw him, you mean you saw his body. You saw him in his manifestation, not his reality. Everything then is spiritual. Everything is metaphysical. As soon as you die, you absolutely see everything just the way it is here right now. But you see their design. You see their form. You can see things in many, many ways. You can see things on TV and you say, I saw it. The things is not in your room, but it's a three-dimensional picture of it on a TV. You can absolutely see it. Examine it, see it completely. On a computer, you can do everything you want. You can do surgery, long distance. How could you say I did not see it? You have seen it. There are many ways to see things. This is a very, very big matter. This is the Renaissance that we have to understand, in my opinion. If we get this done, then all of a sudden we understand there's soul. Then there's no depression. There's no death. The word death does not have any meaning. Death means emancipation for the good guys. But for a bad guy, of course, it will be bad. The difference of the two students in the class, imagine Einstein was in a classroom along with somebody else, which we don't know. That boy could have become a junkie in downtown Berlin, and Mr. Einstein is becoming the head of the world in the physical, in the science. To a student in class, there's not much of a difference between them. They're in the same class. They're enjoying same teachers, same benches, same services. As soon as the time goes and finish the class, then the angle becomes big. The implication of good student is that he becomes a doctor, rich money, and the guy who doesn't listen to the study and this and that has to go become somebody begging money in downtown Toronto. That's a lot of differences. For that purpose, that is what Baha'i Faith has been revealed by God, like a window. Makes us to understand what it is. Once we know there is a metaphysical reality, is the only reality, and material is only a manifestation of it, now then we want to discover to see what is metaphysics and how much of it is there. Then we find out from a simple design, we could go to the different level of the metaphysics to the point that we understand what's love all of a sudden. Now that's huge. What's qualities, what's attributes, what's kindness. Then we want to know who's the source of this. Who's this designers? Then we look at God in a different way. We reconcile with God in a matter of, in an approach of a scientific approach. With the life after death, depression goes away. Psychology becomes a new science. What it is right now is like a person who is sick and he comes to you, and imagine doctor cannot see the body and he just touches the sleeve of his jackets and try to find out what's wrong with him. Because these doctors, psychologists, they get into the soft hardware, which is the body, ignoring that this body is a software. And that is the reality of it. That is what makes it to function. Those things that's stored in the hardware makes this computer become a computer. Without it, it's just a useless object. It's totally a useless object, the computer without anything in it. Cannot do nothing. It's the stuff in the C drive makes it. Then we understand what is it that we call a spirit. You take two videos, two DVDs. One contains a movie Spartacus, my favorite movie. The other one is empty. You weigh both DVDs on a scale, on an atomic scale, like a Fermi can be even measured. There is absolutely no difference in the weight. Then you ask yourself, what is then the information? The information on the DVD is not adding or subtracting anything from the DVD. It's just rearranging the electrons in that way. I was in a restaurant, somebody said, hey, do you think, can you make the spirit? I says, I can actually comment the spirit right here. He says, you're kidding. I said, I'm not. I'm a scientific man. I'm a scientist. I'll prove it to you. Okay, we were eating food. And I ordered, I said, you got those green peas, the round one. He said, yes. I said, bring a good, plate. He brought the plate, and on that plate, an empty plate I asked for, and I took the piece, and using the piece I wrote down letter A. I asked him, what is this? He said A. I said, what do you mean? This is peas, green beans. He said, but I see letter A. I said, with the letter A is the spirit of the peas now. The way you arrange and rearrange them, you comment the spirit. I said I could use these green peas and I write down I love you. And you smile. But I didn't add or subtract anything. I use exactly the same amount of the peas. I just put it them in the different arrangement. That is what design or metaphysics and soul does to the material. It becomes meaningful. That meaning is the spirit. That's what it is. It doesn't have weight. It doesn't actually occupy anywhere. But it has a power to rearrange it. So, I was talking to my website designer recently. And he says, so what is the use of Baha'i faith? So I'm a Baha'i, if I'm not. What makes the difference to my life? What would it do to me? What's its practical use? I told them I'm going to be discussing this. I've answered this question several times to him. But sometimes you have to make many different attempts in order to make a person to understand. I told him, people write things. People do things. Somebody draws a paintings, drawing. Somebody makes something. A person write a book. Some is novel. One of them is drama. All kind of things. Some of these writings is poetry. Some of it, only some of it, is actually a prescription by definition. A doctor, when he writes something to a patient, that is called a prescription. What do you think a prescription, I said, what do you think about a prescription can do to your life? He says, well, it can save my life if I'm sick. I said, well, that's precisely what Baha'u'llah is. That's what Baha'i Faith is. Baha'i Faith is a prescription. Baha'u'llah is not another ideologist, another poet, another postulator, another scientist. Believe me, for none of this he would suffer a minute of his life, albeit physical, in the jail. Because we are capable of fixing all those kind of problems. Even physical problem, we have to go to the doctor. But he looks at the area that we do not know what it is. Because we cannot see it. It's like watching Invisible Man. Have you seen the movie Invisible Man? The clothes is working, but you don't know, well, who's behind it. Man, when it comes to the spirituality, is blind. He doesn't know what it is because you can't see it. It's nothing visible. You have to detect it through a different type of organs. Not eyes, not ears. You have to develop that organs. If you don't have it, you cannot get the soul. That's who he is. And he knows we can't do it. He has brought the Baha'i Faith. It's like a window for us to install on our life so we can see better. This is the flaw that the entire planet is suffering from. To begin with, one of the teaching. However, after this talk with him, and see a guy like Nader Saidi, he's a total victim. He's like a guy who has prepared everything, his car, everything in the car that he needs to travel, everything. But instead of going to the west, he's heading to the east because of this flaw. So this guy's car and traveling, everything that he has is going over, is going the wrong way. I sympathize with him. This particular man, which I brought his name up, is because I actually like him. It's very hard, my friends, to go study the hardest part in the Baha'i Faith, which is the study of the revelation of the Bab, something that I've explained to you how difficult it is really for many scholars, for many reasons that I explained before. So he got himself into this, and he was very well equipped with all the books, all the sources, all the times, the language, vocabulary, all of that. But he is suffering from a flaw. He's working in a flawed system, a system that's flawed. It's like the guy's promising paradise and righteousness and everything else in the religion of Islam. And the man is against Baha'u'llah. He calls Baha'u'llah false. Baha'i Faith false. Where can you get when you are calling Baha'i Faith false? It's like I'm going to study physics at its highest level, but I'm fundamentally against Einstein and his formula. What am I going to get? And when they tell me that, why are you against Einstein? He just said, I don't like this. This is not physics. Well, give you a reason, but I have none. But I'm still insisting on reading physics. Well, then I'm talking gibberish, because that is not going to get me anywhere. So this made me to think, this, my friend, that perhaps I have to come and take up another project. Believe me, it is hard for me to do these things. Baha'is, they think that I want to assume a leadership among them. This is the only job, I swear to Baha'u'llah, who is my actual, physical, literal father, I would deny him. I would tell him, sir, I will not accept this. I am no Tarzan, and I'm not going to rule over these monkeys. That is your puppy. And that adamantly against it. I will be recognized by the same Baha'is as I am the elder of God. I have decided a punishment for them. No Baha'is who is registered under the Baha'i Faith, from the member of the Universal House of Justice to any of them, is not allowed to contact me on that day, not right now. I would not. I'm that much out of what they are. Okay? Imagine the torture and the pain of leading this group of people with this kind of a flaw. And of course, when I'm recognized, everybody comes down with the apology and the reason. I do not want to hear it. It's forbidden by the power that God has invested in me that day. It's forbidden for the Baha'is to contact me. I do not want to do anything with them. None. I do not want to assume the leadership of this community. I feel like Tarzan if I want to do that. I'd rather be a Tarzan rather than be the leader of the Baha'is of the world. From anywhere, from any sect, big or large. I just don't want to do it. So what the hell do I want to do then? Simple. I told you Baha'i Faith consists of Universal Laws of Justice, Universal Laws of Guardianship. You basically know what it is. You don't need to even just call me and tell me that, okay, you're an elder, we signed this, go ahead, do it. I don't need to attend anywhere. I will not. I'm not a showman. When I talk, it's only because I'm ordered to and whatnot. So, how wrong people are sometimes. Oh, God. Okay. Yeah, I do have some kind of a desire as well. I don't think I can fulfill that at all. But I would ask probably the Universal Laws of Justice at that time for a serious large of money, maybe like 50 million. It has to be to my disposal, goes into this Universal House of Guardianship, Institution of Guardianship. I won't be able to use it because it's a charity organization and I have enough money of my own to feed myself and many people around me. But by that, I would want to bring Canada into the Baha'i Faith. And I claim that power is absolutely in me. And this nation, which is the main element of this project, is absolutely ready. To be a Baha'i is a relative matter. The day when Baha'u'llah appeared, the entire world illumined with the light. Remember Abdu'l-Baha says his physical sun, there was an exactly equal spiritual sun. To that spiritual sun is Baha'u'llah. Therefore, everybody compared to 450 years ago, even the criminals have changed. Everybody has enhanced. They're better. Those who are worse are a lot worse. We did not have criminals like probably Charlie Manson's, man-eating people that you see sometimes in the West. Those who were worst were really worst. But those had a chance of being a little bit better, which is 99.99% of the people of the planet. They have changed. Just China is not the same China. Russia is not the same Russia. The States is not the same. Even Iran is not the same Iran that it was 150 years ago. So everything has jumped, mutated to a higher level. This is the meaning of Baha'i. Baha'i Faith is everywhere. It's a relative matter. Relatively to the rest of the world, at this time, Canadians are all Baha'is. They're those beans, right on a plate, in a jigsaw puzzle that I have to solve it. But I have all the pieces. All of them are Baha'is. I'm going to tell them what Baha'i Faith is, and you be the judge of it. Everyone that I know in the last 35 years has agreed with these ideologies. All we have to do is put it together. If this nation turns into a Baha'i Faith, That it starts from a city, of course, then goes to the province, and comes the planet goes. That's it. Because they see the implication, the real, true, practical power of the Baha'i Faith manifested in the society, then the whole planet will go. Then all the disasters will be stopped. This, I don't think it will happen. There is no money clean enough to be used for this. You see? There is no money clean enough. Like, for example, if one of you come tomorrow and says, hey, I am Zuckerberg and this is 50 million. You know that I cannot accept it. I actually can't. I have to go consult with Baha'u'llah 7-9 days, and I have to get an approval. If he doesn't approve it, I can't accept it. So there's condition tied to this. But if Universal House of Justice does is differently. It's a bit different. They do have, among the many authorities they don't have, there are authorities they have. This is one of them. If they authorize this, then it's acceptable to Baha'u'llah. Otherwise, individual, they can't come in. Baha'u'llah we will read, and we'll tell you that why there is a formula involved. It won't work otherwise, okay? So, the bottom line of this talk tonight is that I'm into writing this, gathering the writing of the Bab. I'm working right now on a book called Rasa'il, which is the episodes of the Bab, several of them. I'm actually translating the Tafsir al-Ha in Persians and explaining it and the rest of it. But after I talked to the website designer, it came up to me that I have to go on to a new project, albeit it's difficult for me. I have to go and interpret the most holy book of the Baha'i Faith, which is the Kitab al-Aqdas, the most holy book. That's what the book means. And I'm going to be taking up this project. I'm going to explain verse by verse, because this is the document. This is the deed of the planet. This is the document that will save the life of the planet Earth. Without it, there can't be a planet. Literally, it will vanish. Humanity and even physicality with all of it. But mankind is ready for it. It's just we're going through some hurdles. I'm going to be doing this project later. God be with you. Allahu Akbar.